Well, I can't stop thinking about I don't have a way to get things for myself that I'm missing things like um, many commodities, also paying rent, paying utilities for the electricity, for there's a bank that collects payment for this property that my name is not on the property. So I don't really approve of bank collecting payment for housing all this time. It's not a justice system. It's I never really I never really agreed with that mentality myself. Yet finding no other way of talking about housing, getting different housing, people that I ask for help, like 211 or Department of Social Services, they say based on the birth certificate, they will consider all thinking that they do in the background and in their offices among themselves when I don't have a availability to consult with them about my real family, to say that I don't feel okay being forced in a country where I gotta be considered based on a false birth certificate. So the Department of Homeland Security that is non-corrupt were supposed to have granted me the liberty of a real human being with a real presence on um, a path into recovery from the it's it's a criminal track record that the adults were imposing on me. That I was trying to get asylum from the USA government to keep me from a criminal track path where simply felt wrong, felt as if I had to even die, as much as die, how wrong felt to be subjugated to taking up permanent residence here, obligated through authorities until I was at least 18 years old. The truth always being not hidden in my heart from those that made me feel comfortable about my situation wherein it could always be without commitment. With if someone doesn't tell me, oh, this is morally wrong, there for me there were always like, oh, many love at first sight situations where I could like go all the way with the human being I wanted to cuddle. That's always, if anything, what I thought about, or like stuff I've seen on TV. And, I I just was very eager to have that comfort in my life to start my own family. I guess basically is how they were interpreting my situation, and so my love for life returned. I was a bit cured from suicidal ideations after my son was born. I started to try to present to him an everlasting life prospect, live forever, not live only 80 or 90 years now, or, live on in a different way that our brains are not enhanced yet to grasp. That's what I believed. So the faith prospect in the in a good afterlife, in a good future, and the possibility of conscious immortality through artificial intelligence combining of human brain with problems are to feed the brain. They're not problems, so they're it's like somebody would want to do that. It's a science fiction fantasy that now I'm talking about because I don't know how else I could relate to other people better, how I could form better associations, how I could become a better friend, because in the ways that they look at one another to confirm that they're all okay, I could never render the same courtesy, the same hospitality, the same, level also of like what they like, how they get along, unless that those fantasies were put in my mind that, oh well, there could be brain enhancements, uh and so there's um comfort in thinking that um it's not hopeless, that I might find associations that could guide me in life. Because so what happened is I've been denied a real birth certificate since I was 8 years old. We went to say the fraudulent statements, and I was only a child, so I didn't have to say anything. I was just there quiet, like kicking my feet around, sitting on the chair or whatever. Um, mm, so I I just was like, "What are you guys doing with me? What's happening?" And then they tell me, and I say, "No, I don't want to go." And they say, "You go on an airplane." And so, like, there's been all this luring, for me to stay here. So, what claims there have been of me trying to force my way here, claiming to be someone that I'm not, are false. I always was saying how, in order to feel okay, I feel like I gotta get back to my homeland. If my homeland weren't nice to me either about my um, my thoughts about life that I was formulating, that were um that were like, well, I don't think that obligated to really go to school all the way till I'm 18 if I don't wanna. They said, well, yeah, we got weapons, so Mexico was more maybe finding a chance that will escape that says that I gotta go to school until I'm 18, or else they said, we force the parents in jail if you don't go to the school 18 years. Some people were saying that in some neighborhoods or some schools, and I said, that is really bad thinking. Like, I got to get away from here. Yeah, I'm as same as everybody else. We're just learning about ourselves. We go to that school, and then we have a room to go to and sleep, and like daydream and life dream, and like just get really self-absorbed and distracted, and whatever makes the mind quiet. So in silence, someone doesn't say chrome because the internet was turned on. Now that's new in 2026 because I say that's a friendly spirit that is making much progress and proving to the world in all their kinds that I am a good soul, that I am a good human being, I am a good woman, I'm a nice lady. There are many things written in all the peace treaties that the nations include in all the languages that that say about the condition of humanity and and what we tolerate from one another and how we could trade with one another without violence, without oppression. I have tried to rely on that system to grant me a real ID. My lawyer had said that they could, if they so wanted, up until 2025, continue on their criminal track of validating the false birth certificate because they could, because there it wasn't anyone to stop them, because they simply did not care about the truth, nor living the truth, nor how I felt about not living, not having a family connection with my own ability to select the friends that could visit us, the friends at the congregations, that I don't know in what ways they ingrained themselves or entrenched, like say they could spiritually believe, like, all right, that's my sister, and so if she does something I don't like, I am going to torture her to death because I'm going to want to make her suicidal if I don't like her because that's my sister. Like, that is a very bad associate. And when believe that I have a spiritual family from the religion, I did not believe them to have, panic attack mode, downloaded, so to speak, into the mind in order to become the spirit of the world that guides my body into whatever activity that led me into in the past. What happened happened, what didn't happen. So through the sorrow of being found hated, finding myself in a place of dishonor, in a place of dislike, extreme dislike, from that emerging, the self scrutiny, emerging um, as a friendly telepathy a few minutes ago from someone saying, no, where I am friendly spirit. It's such a vouching for myself, for my family, that we are two worthy individuals of consideration, and listening to the way that I make um, um, an activity for myself happen or not happen. I was eagerly, like, desperately telling Heather recently that the fear they utilized to get me into a coitus situation was not payment, was not any trade, was my response to the terror. The psychiatric care was intense, and terror that resulted in copulating. Therefore, because the people could get me to even act in a friendly manner after I got myself into the bad situation, I felt the only way to get out was to act as big smile as I possibly could, start chugging down liquor, beer, make whatever words they want channeled through me to get away safely, never return. Because once I'm within their property, I could be subject to abuse if I started to just become, like someone that was not willing to try. Like someone that was not at least willing to try what they were trying to terrorize me to think about doing. And so I had to not cry. And I had to not feel like the other, and then that had happened in the past. The lady had called me a stupid PITCH, and then there was viewing of a weapon, and I was like, I tried to forget that that ever happened. And then I had found myself after jail in the same predicament because I didn't know how to think. I didn't know how to believe or what I should do with my life exactly. So I was taking advice from conversations from people that seemed friendly, that were like, "What's wrong? Oh, you don't like? Are you okay? Like, do you want to talk about what happened with you, or like, is there something I could do for you?" So I would tell them. Yeah, I always just simply tell people honestly. So when I had to be fake to get away from where the terror led me, I usually had some liquor or beer to get me through the raping situation that was like a willing rape, because I went there from the terror, trying to appease the demons, trying to act good, as if that's what I'm, how much I'm willing to compromise my integrity for the world, for the demons to calm down. But once I could not, go through with like being able um to uh to calm down, to have the faith to believe that I could keep on trying to act that way with other people. um I, I felt as if they were that evil, that they were only forcing me to do that so that they could record me saying, "Look, she's being a criminal in this house." And then when I realized that that's what they were up to, because I didn't feel, all that was not love in my heart. All that was, I had, made the error to let people have a chance of warring within my spirit for the mind control that they think that the substance grants them. They say if she partakes, we have rights to play God in her life about where she goes, so we could utilize this psychiatric care uh, in the mind. Now they're being nice because we are good. Please, I don't know who else to prove this to, so that I could learn a new way to earn credits for myself, for digital purposes to my name, for collecting either paper money or coin money that I can say I for myself earned. Because as I said, the corruption was based on the false birth certificate. That had been the greatest agony in my life prior to my son's dad trying to fix the situation with saying, "Well, I could grant you recognition as your own um, single mother with a good legal status on this land if you sign this wedding contract." Because I was found to be a good woman, somehow that granted him a year longer to try to impregnate me. At the same time, the Planned Parenthood clinic was there for the birth control, because I was trying to negotiate the housing situation. Always the structure, that I myself reside in, with my son, with myself, with his dad. So I went immediately. The path that I learned with the false birth record is just hold on to the false birth record through the fraudulent wedding, because I felt as if his love has not been honest. He had love in his heart and his flesh for other women, yet he desired the commodities, that the supposed legalities of some world, that I always had questioned that world to begin with. That's how I was just, okay, well, I just do what I'm told. I just listen to professional advice from people that intellectually culture their minds with reading. They had to go read at the university many books before their fellows granted them the certificates that granted them the control to control my character, my decisions about my daily activities based solely on a very civilized, very caring, very extra comforting um, um, time together in the clinician, in the clinical setting, in the in the consultation with them, that were professionals. So that's, I've explained how with the niceness of that setting I was persuaded gently into the errors that procure the extreme hate, that despite the hate, the disobedience incurred upon me, my family, they own people that also recognize the benefits in the medication, step forward to change the law for myself, mainly the Mexica brain, who was granted all that territory to do whatever, collecting samples, collecting, doing every sort of whatever I want to think about is good for Mother Earth, for myself, for the people around me, that doesn't harm myself nor anybody else. I just miss that I am still, despite my good intentions, only can exclaim, "Thank you very much, man," because I don't know. I visualized someone recently on the bus as having, a chrome. He was being nice to another lady too, with words, gentle words that were respectful words, where he was not lewd, nor aggressive. He was actually very handy, very like, well, is there anything that I could do for somebody? We're all good people on the earth, sort of vibe. And so, thinking, this much in depth about gratitude for some one in the flesh manifesting himself in the flesh from the spirit world to once more vouch on the goodness of our character, in the considering that the true love of God is always within us, is always within our hearts, within our flesh, in our innermost parts. We always could feel the joy of the love of God. Even children's songs, you have to have the joy of God in your heart. That's always where I get most intimate hugs, as I've explained here previously. So this is my way of hugging the world that hated me, that now listens to me, express how I always, they say, you always wear your heart and you're always exposed to the world, and I am grateful for the opportunity. Yes, and really, freedom of speech is the only way that I can appease the sorrow that happens as a result of hate from disobedience. Thank you. I feel as if forgiven in a way. Whatever happens, happens. What doesn't happen, doesn't happen. How much I contribute and what happens. I've been explaining that there's a part in me that, please inquire as to what you're reading. That is my premeditated condition in trying to make a friend among everybody. It's a very pacific brain that it was otherwise, was told granted friendly friendly accommodations everywhere on earth, according to the peace treaties, PACE. So that's why I was saying that my real idea includes liberty to travel abroad with a passport, document if the world still wants to behave towards me that way. A real ID is what this forgiveness is, I feel, is granting us because I missed the 12 jury trial in 2012. Thank you very much for making this hearing possible. See some of you around. These are tears of pain because I really am sick in pain right now laying down. Also tears of joy for feeling the love, the real true love, manifest as great as you can possibly comprehend.